hands if you know the general story of the RMS Titanic. All right, gives me a pretty good idea. All right, do you know the names of her sister ships that are down the stream? Okay, let's get through that then. For those of you who raised your hands, knowing the history is extremely important, and it's also to make sure that we don't repeat our past failures, because we learn from the mistakes we make. Also knowing the history is different from honoring the history and remembering those who were involved with the events. And as somebody who's been learning about the Titanic and her sisters since 3rd grade, I've become very concerned and I really don't know the right word to describe it, but I'm very concerned with protecting their history and teaching others about them, which is why I finally decided on my major. But protecting and preserving the historical importance of ocean liners is becoming more of a concern to people who appreciate ships and the stories they have to offer for us today. The RMS Olympic, and I apologize for the crappy quality of this picture, is in the center, and she's the one that had the longest, most impressive 24-year career. She had it in and out of war. The Titanic, the most famous middle twin, you all know struck an iceberg and sank in the Atlantic Ocean on her maiden voyage. And their younger sister, the HMHS Britannic right here, was only serving in the First World War. And I'm going to share their stories with you right now. All right, so this is the RMS Olympic. She had the longest and most impressive career at 24 years, spanning from 1911 to 1935. Where was it? All right, even though she had the longest career, it wasn't without troubles. And according to Alexandra Dancer of VintageNews.com, in an article she wrote entitled The RMS Olympic, Titanic's older twin, which had a dramatic fate of its own, the start of the 20th century had what was called it was compared to the Cold War space race of the 1960s, where shipping companies would work to build the most impressive and luxurious liners for passengers. Her first adversity, wrong part. This is the Olympic and the Titanic circa 1911 and 1912. I wouldn't be able to tell you which one is which from this picture, even though I've been learning about them for the past 11 years of my life. There are very subtle differences on the exteriors of the ships that one might not be able to see in order to tell the difference between the two. I am guilty of confusing them constantly. The first adversity the liner faced was in 1911 in September, when she struck the HMS Hawk, which is on the left side of the screen for you guys, and the RMS Olympic on the right. That's her stern. She struck the Hawk, and luckily nobody on either ship died, but it was one of the first adversities that she faced out of her very long career. This is Violet Jessup. She was a stewardess serving aboard the RMS Olympic in 1911 when she struck the Hawk. You keep her name in mind. She's going to be appearing a couple more times. In 1914, when the First World War started, the Olympic was chartered by the Canadian government, according to Ian Harvey O, also with VintageNews.com. And she was painted with a dazzle camouflage scheme to make sure that U-boats in the ocean would not be able to tell what her speed was or where she was going. And it also helped them to not be able to target her. She also took on a U-boat in 1918. She had spotted the U-boat and was able to turn in time to ram the boat and sink it. Again, I apologize for the crappy quality. 1935, her career had ended, and in the background you see her competitor, the RMS Mauritania of the Cunard Line. They had both been scrapped in 1935 together. A little under a year after the Olympics' maiden voyage, her younger, more awaited twin had set sail. The RMS Titanic, on that first day out of the Southampton docks, wasn't without any troubles. Her first day, she almost struck a liner in the docks because she was so large. The SS City of New York on the left-hand side, circa 1912, April 10th. Wrong days, I'm sorry. As Titanic left, she almost struck the liner, according to the DailyMail.com. And the article stated that had she actually collided with this other liner, it would have cut short the maiden voyage that would have claimed 1,517 lives later that week. Remember Violet Jessup from earlier? Yeah, she actually served on the Titanic. She had been with the Olympic until 1912 when she, along with many of her other crew members, had signed articles to serve on Titanic, according to the National Archives of the United Kingdom. She ended up surviving the sinking with about 600 of the other people. And continue to keep her name in mind, she's going to come back again. Titanic sank in 2 hours and 40 minutes, claiming 1,517 lives, and wouldn't be found again until 1985. Reeling from the loss of the Titanic, the White Star Line made it abundantly clear that they wanted to remove any and all images of her loss, so they built the Gigantic. And in 1914, when the war started to break out, they changed her name from Gigantic to Britannic in a way to seem more patriotic. This is a widely disputed fact amongst historians, but I tend to think that it's probably the best fact out of all of it. Britannic, according to Marine Insight, was prevented to serve in her intended purpose as a passenger liner for the Atlantic crossings, and instead converted to a hospital ship circa 1916 for this image. She served in the First World War, and unfortunately, she never got to see commercial service. Her life was cut short, and she sank the Aegean Sea in about 55 minutes, which was 3 times faster than her sister did. And one final time, in all of her glory, Miss Violet Jessup. She returned to the Olympic in 1914, and then went ashore to train for the British Red Cross, according to the National Archives. She was then sent to serve on the HMHS Britannic. She survived with 1,033 of her crew members. Only 30 people died in this tragedy. Britannic would not be found again until 1975, when Jacques Cousteau found her. I am way behind on my thing, apparently. Yes, I am. Oops. So you may not have heard of her sisters, but I've told you the story, so hopefully you will know a little more about them now.